untuk 24 hours hydration effect.
But even then, Furusato was able to ride around the outside through the long right-hander at turn 15. Very impressive to have that sort of confidence in yourself.
Yes, clearly riding very high on confidence at the moment, and every reason for that, leading the Asia Talent Cup by a 46-point margin with only 3 races remaining in 2021. We've had 2 heavily interrupted seasons in the Asia Talent Cup, 2020 that of course was curtailed, and 21 that we've lost the bulk of the middle of the season. This is Daniel Sharil, our pole sitter. 3 consecutive second places for him, less than a quarter of a second short of the winner though in all of them. By the end of lap 7 in race 1 yesterday, he was 6th, 2 seconds behind the leader, and yet almost on pure pace alone, he was able to get back on his tail 6 laps later. Sharila's got plenty of pace.
Yeah, and I think there's a few other riders that have that pace as well. We saw Gunmaya make big progress during the course of the races. He set a few fastest laps to bridge a gap to close up on Sharil and Furusato at the front of the field. So keep an eye out for the number 5 as well. Obviously, you'd expect as the weekend progresses, everyone's going to get a little bit more competitive around this track. They're going to understand where they need to put their bikes to be able to race with the riders around them. We saw yesterday a lot of riders tripping over one another, especially down in towards turn 10. We saw a few crashes there.
Yes, as you say, Gunmie, who was forced into a situation of recovering, frankly, because he didn't have a good first lap at all. He was relegated down to 8th position early on, and although he did get back up into 2nd, it took him until lap 6, and he's not going to want to work that hard again in the opening laps here, not least because if it takes him 6 laps, that's half of the distance now that we've got a revised distance with only 12 laps at the second time of asking. Just saw Gunmie there, the Japanese youngster, a podium finisher yesterday, and that's the 3rd time for him in 5 races. Enough to move him a clear 3rd position in the championship as a result, and just a little bit outpaced in the closing laps, but he's been one of the few riders this season to have had a genuine go at Taya Furusato, the championship leader, and the man who is the man to beat, as it were, over the course of this race.
Yeah, certainly the rider with the target on his back. You can see Carter Thompson here down in the pits as well, and Carter's had a pretty solid season. He's been top 5 in 4 of the races so far this year, 7th in the other race, and he finished 4th yesterday, so he's chasing his first ATC podium. He's going to start from the middle of the front row of the grid. This is a good opportunity for him.
Yes, Carter Thompson from the Australian capital of Canberra, who as a result of that 4th place in race 1 moved up to 4th in the championship standings, and as I said previously, the top 4 all still mathematical contenders, but Carter Thompson 66 points down with only 75 up for grabs, so that's in the realms of fantasy, to be perfectly honest. To get up into the top 3 in the series standings is certainly more achievable, but he'll almost certainly need to get onto the podium for the first time this campaign if he is to achieve that. This is his first full season, as it were, in the Asia Talent Cup. He did the opening 2 rounds of the opening round of last season as well, so put a couple of race starts under his belt then.
Yeah, and certainly for Carter, he's got a bit of luck on his side as well. 4th in the championship, the 2 riders behind him in the championship, Denish and Hamada, both out of action in today's running, so he's got the chance to consolidate that 4th position with another decent points paying finish.
Well, this almost looks like a pre-season photograph, doesn't it, with all the bikes lined up, getting the sponsors their advertising time, and the grandstands will enjoy seeing the bikes and riders lining up as well.
Yeah, and everyone does look forward to the Asia Talent Cup races. There's always exciting action on track in the Talent Cups because all these bikes, a standard Honda 250 Moto 3 style bike, are identical. It really is just down to the rider to make the difference. Obviously, the Asia Talent Cup over the last few years has been the Talent Cup to watch in a lot of ways. You've also got the European Talent Cup, the Northern European Talent Cup as well. But when you look at the riders that have come through in the ATC over the years, Grand Prix winners and established Grand Prix riders have become the norm.
This is Azrian Deo, and I would suggest that he's one of the men to watch. He's a little bit further back down the grid. He starts from P10, but made a great start yesterday. He was up to 6th, actually, by the end of the opening lap, and starting a couple of positions further back down the order as well. He was battling for 6th position, then had a crash with Fadila Aditama. So Deo still chasing his first top 10 finish in the Asia Talent Cup, but he starts P10 here, and every reason to suspect that he might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, obviously that crash yesterday with Aditama Aditima, and it was unfortunate for him, but he was able to at least show some decent pace during the course of the practice sessions. We'll see what he can do during this race, so keep an eye on the number 19.
The other rider I would suggest that one ought to watch out for a little bit further down the order, Tetsuya Fujita from P15. He was 17th on the grid in race 1 and climbed up to finish in 9th, his best in the class, and he starts, as I've said, a couple of places higher up this time. This is Sharil, who had a really strong first round in Qatar with a 5th and an 8th position, 17 years of age from Malaysia. Only got back into the top 10 for the first time here yesterday with P7.
Yeah, also racing in Europe this year in the European Talent Cup, so getting in plenty of action, even though there's been a big gap in the Asia Talent Cup from the opening rounds in Qatar.
1.5 minutes then until the pit lane opens. The riders will be released. The fact that they're all queuing up in pit lane rather suggests that they won't need too much time from pit lane opening to get straight round towards the start line.
Yeah, they're pretty eager to get out there, get to the grid, and then do their sighting lap and then get straight into action. 12 laps for the ATC, so it is a bit of a sprint, down 4 laps from their original start, but you can see everyone now getting ready. A minute until pit lane opens. The mechanics just starting all those bikes now.
Is there an extent to which, if they had been able to go racing, they might have benefited from the experience, or are we asking too much of such young riders?
I think you're asking too much of some of the younger riders in the class. There's 12-year-old riders in this in their first year, some riders making their debut in the Asia Talent Cup. I think it's fine for the riders at the front of the field that have that bit of experience, but some of those riders a little bit further back at a brand new track like we have here in Mandalika as well, a track where we saw a lot of incidents yesterday. I think it's best to err on the side of caution.
Yes, fair range of ages, as you say, from Veda Pratama at 12 years of age upwards. Of course, there will be an age limit of 13 for any new riders from next season, and then for 2023, if I'm not mistaken, that goes up to 14 from then onwards. So they're trying to sort of narrow the range of ages, because Daniel Sharil at the other end of the scale, 18 years of age, also competing out there with a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things that's going to change over the next few years. Obviously, with everything that's happened this year, really important to be able to make some of those changes, and that increase in the minimum age is going to be something that's going to make a big difference. Speaking to some of the riders that have come through into the Talent Cups over the last few years, the one thing that they've said is adapting to a bike of this size, tyres and wheels of this size, is actually one of the biggest challenges, moving from mini bikes onto these kind of bikes, and that's where it takes a little bit of time to get that experience. But certainly all these riders, we've seen it time and time again in the ATC over the years, they're all very competitive, very fast. There's a really good screening process for ATC, and it really is a case of getting the best of the best from each of the different regions. Obviously here in the Asia Talent Cup, you're taking in a pool of talent from Asia, the Middle East, and then also Australasia as well. So you get the Australians, New Zealand riders can get the opportunity to race here. We've seen Turkish riders like the Onchu brothers racing in this class in the past, and then obviously a whole host of Asian riders, whether it's the likes of Samkhya Chantra here from Indonesia, the likes of Kaito Toba, the first champion coming from Japan. This is the chance for these riders. It means that you're able to have affordable racing, show your talent, give yourself the chance of moving on to the bigger stage. That's been one of the big positives we've seen since 2014 with the start of the ATC.
Riders making their way round towards the start line then. A 12-lap race ahead of us. And if you're just joining us after a slight delay, we're building up to race 2 of round 3 in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup, and what could be a title decider. Taiyo Furusato on a maximum 125 points, and if he maintains that winning run for another race here this afternoon now, I was about to say this morning, but we've now crossed into afternoon with the delayed start, then Furusato will be crowned as the winner, and he's gone out onto those big serrated curbs on the outside line as well. So that rules him out of a fight between these top two, because there's 0.6 of a second already between second and third positions, and Gunmia's got it all wrong there on the final lap. He holds on for a podium position. Sharil to the outside line then as they come in towards turn number 10. Tries to go the long way round. He'll now switch it back. It gives him the inside line for turn 11. Daniel Sharil has thought about this in advance. Sharil passed Furusato here yesterday. These two have swapped and changed. There were 8 thousandths of a second across the last timing point between the two of them. Sharil gets nerfed to the inside. He takes that as his opportunity, as his call to arms into turn 13 and comes through. Then Furusato recovers it coming through turn 14. It's a head-to-head on the final lap that will determine whether we go to another race in the Asia Talent Cup for 2021 or whether we have just settled the series standings. One final sector to go. It's Furusato, the leader, on the number 15. It's Daniel Sharil, the pretender, on the number number 21. I don't think he's going to be close enough coming off the final turn. It's a drag race down to the line. Furusato holds on, and Taiyo Furusato claims the 2021 Asia Talent Cup with 2 races to spare.
I actually thought Furusato might have gone too defensive there in the final sector, judged it to perfection. Really good race performance from him. Hongo takes 4th. Thompson's up inside the top 5 once again as the rest of the field comes through to claim the points paying positions.
Yes, Thompson rounding out your top 5, feared your top 10, but it was all about the top 2 in the context of the championship. We had a very similar race to what we had yesterday. We had exactly the same outcome, a 6th win of the season for Taiyo Furusato.
Yeah, and if you want to see how on the limit Shireel was to try and make the moves to take the race lead, we saw through turns 6 and 7 he had a bit of a moment. We saw on the run into turns 12 and 13 he had another moment. That was the deciding factor. It meant that into turn 15 Furusato was able to take a normal line. He didn't have to defend the position. He did take a defensive line on the run through 15 into 16, and he was able then to exit the corner nice and clean and hold on to that race victory. He was able to take it by a 1/10 of a second, and just like we saw yesterday, able to lead pretty much the whole race here. Nice and comfortable. 6 from 6 from Furusato.
And you get the impression that Daniel Shireel just felt that he had to throw everything at Furusato if he was going to have a hope of beating him and pushing this championship fight on. I think realistically, even if Daniel Shireel had got through to hit the front, Furusato would have been a matter of a few points away from claiming the title, and more than likely would have done it this afternoon anyway. But Furusato, 150 points out of a possible 150, still 50 up for grabs over the course of this afternoon and tomorrow. But Daniel Shireel is now 51 points behind. Mie 61 points behind Furusato, 10 therefore behind Shireel, and 19 clear of Carter Thompson. Damage limitation ride in the end for Thompson. We just watched the timing screen because we've had a penalty for exceeding track limits on the final lap, and it's for Wakamatsu. So it's not for Furusato. That's the most important thing at this precise moment, because, of course, if Furusato had exceeded track limits and had to drop a position, then the championship fight would go on for another race.
Yeah, and certainly for Furusato, didn't put a foot wrong all the way through that race, hasn't put a foot wrong all season, and that's why he's been so impressive and able to take this championship. 6 from 6, very impressive start to his international career as well. Obviously he's going to be in the Moto3 World Championship next year with the Asia Talent Team, and we've seen some good riders come through in the Talent Team over the years. Obviously Ayagura, their big star in recent years in the Moto3 class, done a really good job in Moto2, but Furusato certainly a name to keep your eye on.
Yeah, it's always an opportunity for the Asia Talent Cup when they're rubbing shoulders with the Grand Prix and with the World Superbike paddocks. And Furusato is a name that we'll remember for the future, little doubt about that. 16 years of age from Japan, and he's taken the Asia Talent Cup, and in the best possible fashion as well, with 6 wins out of 6 so far. Brilliant performance. Really
impressive, and it's how cool a head he keeps as well. We saw in yesterday's race, we saw in today's race as well, the same story. Very impressive young rider, and we also saw that blinding pace from the start of the season in Qatar, where he was able to win both races by over 9 seconds.
4 second places in a row for Daniel Shireel. He's going to be getting fed up with this. It's all 4 of them that have been less than a third of a second between himself and Furusato. And he's got 2 more opportunities to at least try and take that first victory since his comeback.
Yeah, it has been a really impressive comeback. We talked about it after race 1 when he had a fractured leg in Sepang a few years ago. Almost had to have his leg amputated. So it shows just how impressive a job he's done to recover from that. The 18-year-old, and able to take his 4th consecutive second place finish, and certainly you'd like to see him end the season with a race victory, but Furusato's performances, they don't tend to leave the door open for too much.
No, but Shireel's story is only missing that one final chapter, isn't it? Last a winner in 2018. Of course, he had that severe injury to his leg in 2018, and has been on the road to recovery since, and only got back on a bike in August of last year. Really incredible just for him to be challenging for, well, it's incredible that he's walking, frankly, but it's incredible that he's challenging for podium positions in the Asia Talent Cup as well. He takes 2nd position here today with Gun Mie rounding out your podium trio, pushing hard. Anyone who wants to stay with Furusato has to push hard in the closing stages, that's for sure. And again, on the penultimate lap, Gun Mie just losing a little bit of ground, and then on the final lap itself, going across the curbs, we're getting an indication of just how high those curbs are, and if you catch them in the wrong position, they're really awkward for bikes, that's for sure. And Gun Mie getting all out of shape, eventually finishes 2 seconds behind, but again, he played his part in the entertainment in race 2.
Yeah, trying to go with those leaders to be able to give himself a chance, and you have to push hard to be able able to go with the likes of Furusato and Daniel Sharil in the course of this season, and certainly for Gunmia with his 4th podium of the season, he's certainly made people stand up and take notice of him.
Unbeaten from 6 races out of 6 in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. Your champion, Taya Furusato.
Tayo, many congratulations, because you are the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion. Tell us how happy you are.
Of course, I'm happy, super happy, because I cannot say a lot, because until today, all races I won the race, so it's most important for me, because like
Suppose that it's a dream come true, so many congratulations, Tayo.
Thank you.
So for Furusato, the one thing missing from his armoury, I think, is the experience of the interviews. Fine performance in 2021.
And whatever happens later on today and tomorrow, he cannot be beaten.
Taya Furusato is your 2021 Asia Talent Cup winner. Is the name on everyone's lips then after that race, and I suspect that he might be a name to watch for the future as well.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be a rider that people are going to pay attention to in the Moto 3 paddock next year. Obviously, he's also raced in the Red Bull Rookies Cup this year, won on his debut in Mugello. He was very fast in another couple of races, Sachsenring in particular, so he is certainly a rider to keep an eye on for next year.
Confirmation of your race results. Taya Furusato takes a 6th win out of 6 to extend his championship lead to 51 points with only 50 remaining. Daniel Sharil doing his level best to keep his championship hopes alive. A 4th consecutive 2nd place for him, and all of them have been less than a second to the race winner. Gunmie with another 3rd position. It's the same podium trio as we had in race 1 here yesterday, and it was a very similar race, the way it panned out, the way it played out, and it does mean that each of those 3 riders extend the gaps between them and directly behind them to Carter Thompson, who got relegated into the secondary group and had to work hard just to come home for 5th.
Racing around this circuit. Congratulations, guys, as they now make their way into the backstage. A couple of them grabbing a drink, congratulating each other as you can.
And the championship standings upon the completion of round number 3. Still 1 round to go that starts as early as this afternoon. No change in the top 7 positions, as you can see. Hakim Denish and Kanta Hamada both missing from the remainder of this 2021 season through injury, so they're likely to slip back. Sharil is in pride of place with an opportunity to pass the pair of them. The top 4 look fairly settled, although we could still have a battle for 2nd in the standings, with Gunmie and Daniel Sharil only separated by 10 points.
So we are now ready then for the podium presentations. Ladies and gentlemen.
So it's time to greet our podium trio for race 2 of round 3 in the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. It is the Indonesian round. And first up, for 3rd position, Gunmie, the 15-year-old from Japan. That was his 8th race start in the Asia Talent Cup, and his 4th podium appearance, still yet to better that 2nd position that he managed in the season opener of 2021 in Qatar. 2nd place going the way of Daniel Sharil. He's going to have 2nd place trophies coming out of his ears the way things are going in 2021. It is a 9th podium finish for him. Yet another performance from him up in those top 3 positions. Remember, he's one of the most experienced men in this paddock. That's his 18th race start in the Asia Talent Cup. Still waiting to add, though, to that win tally. But your race winner, little doubt as to who it might be before we got underway, but he was again made to work for it. If anything, Taya Furusato is probably pulling on the level of the other riders around him.
Yeah, certainly has done a great job all the way through this season. And when you look at what we saw from Pedro Acosta in the Moto 3 World Championship coming through from the Red Bull Rookies Cup and from CEV Moto 3, there is that level that you can reach from these Talent Cup races. And certainly for Furusato, he's going to be a rider that everyone's going to be quite keen to see how he gets on from the Qatari Grand Prix onwards next year.
Race winner's trophy presented to Taiyo Furusato, who is also the champion in the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup.
To the national anthem of the winning rider, the national anthem of Japan. Congratulations then to our top three. If I could ask you to stay on the podium, gentlemen.
Your podium trio then for race 2 of the Indonesian round 3 of the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Third position going the way of Gunmie of Japan. Second to Daniel Sharil of Malaysia. But your race winner, and therefore your champion in the Asia Talent Cup for 2021, is Taiyo Furusato.
Thank you very much indeed. And if I can now ask Mr. Yasuda to leave the podium and to the top three riders, just a couple more photos, please. Make some noise for our podium finishers in race.
Well, the Asia Talent Cup returns this afternoon with round 4 from the Mandalika International Circuit, getting underway at 4:30 p.m. Goodbye for now.